So, anyway, this is the story of how I know Amanda Steele. In 2010, um, I saw her video. We talked. She gave me her number because back then they didn't have Snapchat. I think it was Keek. We lived two different lifestyles. Like, I think she's this rich, privileged girl, but she's super mature. And it's just completely opposite the way that, like, I guess not even financially, but just in just growing up. And I remember when they took a trip. Okay, so it's gonna be hard to say this because you guys won't know what I'm talking about, but she will. Amanda, if she ever sees this video, Mandy, that's what we call her, Makeup by Mandy, because I still remember as Makeup by Mandy. But I knew her name, Amanda Steele. Obviously, I know her name. I have her, at the time, we used to talk on the phone, this and that. But that's way back in 2010. But we, one, she'll remember this. So I'm going to tell you a story. You guys won't know what we're talking about, but we will. If she remembers this, one day her and her friends, and I think her family was there too, but they take a, like, it's not a photo shoot, but it's just pictures in like this, I don't know if it's like a friend or a place, and they have like this yard, but there's, you know, we like brush and trees and flowers and stuff, like just a field, right? And I said, "Oh, that's so cool! Like you get to take pictures and just do all that kind of stuff." Like at the time when you're younger, it seems so, you know, if you grew up in my life, it's completely different. I think I went out to eat like 3 times in my entire life, so it's a different lifestyle, and I thought that was pretty cool. And she said, "Actually, it's terrible." And I said, "Why? You get to dress up and like take these pictures and like just enjoy that kind of, just enjoy the scenery and just be there, And that seemed to me, that was like a completely, just a different lifestyle. And I remember she said it was terrible. And I was like, "What do you mean it's terrible?" She said when she was passing like in the field, that some of the branches would scratch her leg and like scrape them and stuff. And then that, they would get little cuts and stuff, they get cuts and stuff, like that stuff. And I remember her telling me that. And that's one thing that if she knows, she'll know that we used to talk on the phone back in 2010, because that was one of the stuff that we talked about. And, she doesn't know, like, when you're younger, the family, like, if you have like a loving family, or if you have a family that is just issues, right? We'll just say issues. It's different lifestyle to it all works together. Someone that grows up in a dramatic family, someone that doesn't, it's a different, you grow up different. Everyone grows up different, but there's some that are drastically different. And some of the other stories is like, I remember the story when she was in Hawaii, and I thought that was like, people around me don't do that. We don't go to Hawaii and vacation, like that stuff for like on TV that we see and different things like that. And her dad was smoking a cigar one time on live, and I remember her saying, "We're on live, Dad. Dad, are you sure?" And he's like, "What's wrong with that?" He's like, "It's legal." I just remember him saying, "It's legal. It's a cigar. It's legal." And all that. He's old, of age and over there in Hawaii and this and that. And And I've later found out that he's a school teacher. But yeah, that was pretty. But she was super mature. Like Mandy from 2010 to 2014, super super mature. And she has this older sister. I think she's like 2 years older. And but I've talked to like the mom and dad. I've talked to them too back in the day. Like, you know, because we were kids, and I remember her saying like, who are you guys talking to? And then we're like, oh, but it's but they knew me because I would always be on their, like, I don't know if it was called YouTube Live or so, it was called something like that, where you can talk, like, basically interact and message each other and talk, and because they didn't have Snapchat or anything like that. I think it was Keek or some, I don't know what it was back then, but a long time ago. But I haven't seen her videos in like 7 years because I knew she wanted to leave and like live with her sister, just to have freedom. But I think she was only like 16 at the time. But she wanted to live with her sister in Hollywood, and her sister had this boyfriend. And but of course, me growing up in the way that I live, like in lifestyle, I knew like in Hollywood, and I know in different areas, like you don't know, when you know, and you know if you don't, right? So people that grew up with like mom and dad, and they're sheltered, they're protected, they're all that. But people that don't, the streets are different, right? So like you'll get the drugs, the alcohol, the parties, the late nights, the crazy stuff, the boys, the girls, you know what I mean? So that's the kind of thing that that can happen. And if you're protected when you can't just be out to experience stuff, because you may go too far, you may not be able to handle it, you may go crazy. Like there's a lot of stuff that it messes with you, not if you're not used to just doing out of control, right? You can get out of control, right? And I remember she bought a Range Rover, and then she moved off, and then like after that it was pretty much it. Like once I knew that I think she had a boyfriend living with her or something, so I was like, nah, dude, whatever. Like she changed. And then she started wearing all black too, like emo style. But then after that, like that was it. Like it was over. I never talked to her. Like I've never seen her videos after that, this and that. But some of the things that I did notice, like when she was like 2010 to 2014, is that she always was very mature, very kind, very sweet, very like almost like an angel for like everybody. So popular, so from that time 2010 2014, very mature. And I remember another time when um let me see. So we talked about the Hawaii, we talked about the thing. There's one more. There's a bunch more, but like that's what I'm trying to think about. Like this happened 12, 13 years ago, so it's hard to kind of remember everything, Um well, anyway, there's other stuff. So, and this is before she was, Amanda Steele. This is like when she had like a few hundred. She wasn't, she didn't have any kind of sponsorship. She wasn't big time. She didn't have like brands send her stuff, or like, millions of dollars and like whatever, you know what I mean? Like none of that's huge popularity, millions of followers. It wasn't like that, back in the 2010 days, it wasn't like that. 2014 era, it wasn't like, you know. And but I remember her, and I remember like also she had the white hair, and I remember that day too. And but it's like a bunch of stuff that I remember, and she knows, like, oh, she remembers. I don't know, maybe she doesn't not remember, but yeah, I do. It was, I don't know, it's just like a kind of a story to tell, it's something cool, it's just later on find out that, someone got super popular on YouTube and made a bunch of money and all this, it's pretty, you know, and hopefully, I wish her all the best, like, I hope she's good now, and I hope everything's great for her, and like, like, I remember her being super mature, so back in the day, so, but yeah,